Morning, Joe. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right.
Okay. Yeah, I'm fine too. Thanks for asking.
I'm sorry, that sounded a little bit rude, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, first of all, I didn't say thanks, did I? And then I didn't ask you how you were doing.
Yeah, the protocol in the UK is to ask someone how they are as well, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. I apologize sincerely.
You're forgiven.
I should be forgiven in this situation. If you wanted to follow protocol, you could say, no, that's okay. Or it's all right. So today we are talking about etiquette, kind of British social etiquette, I suppose. And that was an example of me not following the etiquette by not asking how Stephanie was doing. That is rude, okay?
Yes, totally. Yeah, if somebody says, "How are you?" you've always got to say, "I'm fine, thanks. How are you?" Always ask them back. Even if you're not really fine, most people would say, "I'm okay, I'm fine."
Yeah, it's almost like a greeting. In a weird way, I'm not even really asking how you are. I am just saying hello, almost, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not expecting anybody to tell me, "Oh, I'm not doing very well, Joe. Actually, it's very bad." I kind of want you to say, "Oh, no, I'm okay, thanks. How are you?"
Yeah. If you're like really close friends with someone and you say, "How are you?" And if something was wrong, they might say, "Not bad." And then that kind of gives you the opening to ask them, "Oh, has something happened? Is, everything all right?"
That's right, yeah. It's a lot of things that are unsaid, I suppose, not spoken about. Yeah, I think as well, you might ask how somebody is, and then actually later on in a conversation, you might say again with some more serious expression on your face, but how are you? Actually, that's more of a direct question. It's not part of the greeting.
Yeah, that's totally right. And or we might say something like, "So how are things? How's things?"
Mm,
Meaning how's life basically? How's it going? So
yeah.
I suppose another really important part of our social protocol here in the UK is that we often apologise a lot. Maybe we over apologise. We say sorry too much sometimes.
I know that I'm really bad at that. Yeah, over apologizing. It's for us. It's like we know that we're affecting people. I suppose we know that what we do is near, especially if you're near to somebody in proximity. Or I feel like I need to say sorry for so many little things.
Yeah, yeah. You usually say sorry for bumping into someone maybe unintentionally. So if you
Yeah.
bump into someone on the tube or walking along, or even if they bump into you sometimes, they bump into you and you'll both kind of go, "Oh, sorry, sorry, sorry."
Yep.
I think if you didn't do that though, then the other person would definitely think that you're quite impolite.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember the feeling of when I first moved to Spain after living here all my life in London. I'd bump into people and I would say sorry, and people would look at me like, "What do you mean?" Like,
What are you sorry for?
yeah. And I just started to get used to just, if I bumped into somebody, don't even turn around.
Really?
People just don't even notice. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that would really throw me, that would throw me if, someone just didn't say anything. I would think they're incredibly rude.
Yeah. It was a shock.
Yeah. I guess it's kind of like one of our unwritten rules, those kind of social rules that nobody really talks about, but, everybody knows.
Yeah, it's something I think you learn after some time here. It's just there's a way of doing it, and it's something that you sort of understand. You pick up.
Yeah, definitely. And lots of pleases and thank yous. You always have to say thank you for anything. Like if you're paying for something in a shop, students of mine in the past have commented on this and said, "Why do you always say thank you for things? They're serving you. That's kind of their job. Why do you have to keep saying thank you all the time?" And I suppose, well, as we said just now, it would be just, yeah, wrong not to say thank you.
It's part of it. Thank yous and sorries and pleases. They come out of my mouth so naturally.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. If you go into a British pub, I don't know if this is the same in the ladies in the toilets in the pub there, but when I go into the gents, usually there are two doors. If you're going into the toilet or coming out of it when you're crossing paths with somebody, there's always this exchange of, oh, sorry, oh, thank you. You're holding the doors open for each other, and you're trying to walk past each other without, bumping into each other, trying to be helpful and acknowledging that they're being helpful as well. So it's a lot of, oh, sorry, thank you, oh, sorry, yep, cheers, thank you. And then we are either in the toilet or we're out of the toilet, and this little exchange is just like sort of 5 seconds of thank you, sorry, thank you to each other. Nobody has any reason to be sorry or to say thank you, really. We're just leaving the toilet or entering.
Yeah, that's that's a very good example. I suppose that also, yeah, when you're going into a building or into a room and you're the first one there, you always look back and kind of hold the door for the person behind you as well. Like, I think that's
Yep.
just etiquette here. If you kind of didn't, and it just slammed in their face,
Yeah. Oh.
they'd be very disgruntled, I think.
Oh no, yeah, that's the thing. It's very natural to open the door for somebody, but then when somebody doesn't acknowledge that you have done it, then you can be a little bit like, that was rude.
Yeah, really. Yeah, you've got to be polite and also acknowledge other people's politeness. That's really important, I think. And I suppose that Brits are quite diplomatic as well. In everyday life, they try to, yeah, not be so direct in telling you that perhaps they disagree with you or something like that, especially at work. Maybe they don't want to rock the boat.
Yeah, yeah. I think also that is manifested in some other ways, right? Maybe I don't know, like queuing, for example. It's just a very natural thing to form an orderly line,
Oh, yeah.
one in front of the other. So no pushing in, nothing like that. You have to respect the order of the.
Of the queue, definitely. And this is something that I've noticed, going on holiday to other countries, that often they don't follow the same sort of rules that we do in this way. Lots of crowding around and, trying to be the first one to get served, for example.
Getting served is something very. I mean, yeah, although at a busy bar now, that's quite a dying art, knowing that somebody is in front of you. But yeah, queuing in that respect, getting on trains, getting
Yeah.
off trains, that is, I mean, in the UK, it is considered very rude if you try to get on or off a train before those who you think were probably there before you.
Oh, yes, definitely. Yeah, if you mean if you're like queuing up to get on and there's loads of people,
Yeah,
yeah, you have to let the ones who are there first get on, right?
yeah.
One of my bugbears, like one of my pet hates, is when I'm standing, like, trying to get off the train, or it could be anything, like a train or a lift, like getting out of a lift,
Okay, yeah.
and then there's like a crowd of people waiting to get on, and they just start getting on before you've got off.
Oh my God. Yeah, that is such a common experience in some other countries, right? I don't know
Yeah,
if you feel that.
definitely, definitely. But I do notice it sometimes in London, that obviously because there's a lot of, tourists around, I
Yeah.
suppose maybe they don't know this this
Yeah.
kind of unspoken rule, unwritten
Yeah.
rather.
They
Um,
haven't learnt the unwritten rules yet, which is fair enough.
mhm.
But yeah, definitely when I was living in Rome, I just couldn't believe that the train would stop, the doors would open, and if you wanted to get off the train, that there would be people in front of you waiting for you to, I don't know, what, disappear, vanish into thin air. Like, I have to get off the train. Now you have to move out of the way so I can. but
Yeah,
they just wouldn't. They didn't have that, I suppose, sensibility, that idea.
yeah. I think that if that happens in the UK, people would normally give you a look.
Yeah.
They give you a bad look, or they might even, which is worse in my opinion, they might even tut.
Ah, a tut. What's a tut?
It's basically,
Yep, you hear that kind of sound a lot, often in queues as well. People who have to wait longer than they thought that they would have to wait. They're not going to complain. They're not going to shout in a big way. They will express it with a tut, which is tutting, like and sighs and tuts. Yeah,
yeah, perfect way to show how you feel without actually saying anything.
yeah. I suppose sometimes it's not very clear, right? I mean, like some of these things are quite minimal expressions of frustration or politeness, and maybe that's when people need to read between the lines a little bit with behaviour.
Yeah. I've had students sometimes come up to me with an email from their workplace if they're working in the UK, and they'll kind of show me this email and say to me, "So is this person saying yes to me or no?" Because it's
Yeah.
so, well, to them it's so kind of unclear, because the writer may have been so diplomatic, that you have to read between the lines and kind of understand whether they've actually agreed with you or not.
The meaning, yeah, it's I think that I have actually told quite a few of my students in the past that like the level of formality tends to go up when it is slightly less direct. We talk about passive voice and things like that, removing actors. He did it or she did it. It was done.
Definitely. I mean, Brits always try to avoid embarrassment in most situations. They try to save face by being less direct, by also making things seem like it's their fault when perhaps it's not, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I suppose apologizing in that way as well.
Yeah, that's right. And also something I think worth mentioning is that when we meet new people, when we meet new acquaintances, we don't normally kind of ask them too much personal information at first, do we?
Oh no, not at all. These are things you tend to find out later. There's no, there's no rush. So, what things would you not include in, like?
I definitely wouldn't ask someone about their age straight away.
Ah,
I suppose maybe their age will kind of come out later on, kind of thing. But as you said, but yeah, I wouldn't ask them directly, "How old are you?" Maybe unless it's a child, obviously,
yeah.
a young child. And definitely wouldn't talk about salaries, like how much do you earn, or are you married? Stuff like that.
Money, marital status, yeah, things like that. The age. This is an interesting one. So, my cousin and my sister's boyfriend were living with me, and so they must have been living together in the same house for about 3 months, and it it was my sister's boyfriend's birthday couple of weeks ago, and it was only until the birthday that my cousin found out how old my sister's boyfriend was. He said I had no idea Jack was 27, and I thought, what? It's true. It probably just didn't come up because it's not a question that's asked. So unless it's sort of spoken about,
Yeah.
unless there is a reason or it comes up in conversation, actually, it makes complete sense that my cousin didn't say, "How old are you?" Even after spending many nights together,
Yeah.
drinking or like socializing, it's not something that was considered important.
No, no, I could totally understand that as well. And also I think that you've got to be careful with women as well, like especially asking them how old they are. Yeah, some women don't like to be asked, and well, traditionally it's kind of considered a little bit impolite to ask a woman her age, don't you think?
Yep, yep. I agree. Yeah, you don't do that.
Don't do that.
That wouldn't go down well, I don't think.
Not really, no. And if you did, and the woman wasn't willing to reveal her age, she might say something like, "Oh, you really shouldn't ask a lady her age," trying to not make it too awkward.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mm.
something that's frowned upon, I would say. So we've used a couple of like interesting words, I think, today that maybe we could go back to. What do you think?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I agree. So we did talk about this idea of like reading between the lines. Now, where do you think?
Hmm.
What do you think that might mean?
So it would mean that you shouldn't kind of understand something at face value. So you shouldn't look at something and accept it as it is. You should try and kind of figure out the hidden meaning,
Yes.
you know?
I suppose the idea would be that if it was in writing, you have one line of writing and then below that is another line of writing, but somewhere in between those two lines is the actual meaning of everything that's been written, right?
Yeah.
It is a bit of a confusing thing for most people for us to suggest, don't actually listen to exactly what I say. Think about what I'm trying to say with the words that I use.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's an acquired skill, like it's something you learn slowly.
Yeah.
And another good phrase might be to rock the boat.
Okay, yeah.
People usually try to avoid rocking the boat. What would you say that means?
Yeah, well, I suppose a lot of these are quite visual for me when we describe a lot of these kinds of expressions. And rocking the boat, well, if you're in a little boat with lots of people, then actually, in a way, staying quite calm and still and not moving too much won't rock the boat, and it won't put people in either in danger or actually just most often, I suppose, feeling uncomfortable or a bit worried.
Mm.
And for us, this kind of social norm is for things to be as smooth as possible, I suppose.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
rocking the boat is for everything to become a little bit uncertain.
yeah, definitely. That's a good way of explaining it. Another good expression might be that something is frowned upon. So I suppose you would frown when you're concerned about something, worried, or even angry.
Yeah,
It's kind of the opposite of a smile, I suppose.
yeah.
Um, so if something is frowned upon, then it means that it's kind of not considered socially acceptable.
Yeah, I suppose it's like the kind of like a passive way of saying people will frown at it, or if people frown at this thing, right? So
Yeah.
it is frowned upon. People frown when somebody jumps the queue,
Yes.
yeah, or people frown when somebody doesn't say thank you when you open the door for them.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Good.
So yeah. Yeah, I suppose we talked about social norms. It's just this less of a thing, but an unwritten rule is just something that people know, right? I suppose it's not been written down. We don't have a guidebook for how these things happen. They're just things that people know.
Yes.
It's not written anywhere.
Yeah, things that they've kind of just learnt over the years, and yeah, nobody really talks about it, but everybody knows that it exists.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a fair one.
Good. That's good. Yeah. I think that's all.
Yeah, I think we could wrap it up there. I hope you guys have understood now a little bit more and feel a bit more confident about how maybe to read between the lines sometimes if you find yourself in front of a British person.
Yeah, let us know in the comments if there's anything that you'd like to know about British etiquette and culture, and we'd be happy to help you.
Yeah, if you think that there are some strange things that we've missed that you have experienced or that you've heard about, then yeah, please let us know and we could try and clarify those too. Okay?
Definitely. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, I'll see you soon. Speak to you soon, rather. So.
Yeah, we'll chat soon, okay?
Have a lovely day.
Yes, you as well. Toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Bye-bye.
Bye.